One could argue that Marcus Freeman and the Notre Dame Fighting Irish haven't lived up to the expectations that have been put forth them season after season since Marcus Freeman has been named the head coach with this program. However, if you are going to count Notre Dame out for that reason this year, you would be mistaken. This roster is built for tremendous success and a postseason run. Can Notre Dame get back on top, back into the playoff, and maybe even claim a college football crown? You'll see what I have to think in this video. What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today, and welcome to Predictions Season, video 6 out of 134. Did he say 134? Yeah, I said 134. What does that number mean? It's every FBS team in college football. Guys, means I'm doing your favorite team. So hit the subscribe button, ring the bell so you know when your team has a video on my channel. But thank you for watching this video. It helps support my channel in more ways than you can even imagine. If you want to continue to support my channel, like, comment, share, and do anything else you can to interact with the channel, because any way you do so helps support what I do here on YouTube, and I greatly appreciate all of it. Before we start talking about Notre Dame in 2024, I got to tell you how predictions work. We're going to dive into a team's offense, dive into the team's defense, and at the end of it all, we'll talk about the schedule and go through, preview, and predict every single game that the Notre Dame Fighting Irish will have to play in 2024. Makes sense? Sounds good to me. Let's do it. Before we begin, though, we're going to start by talking about the offense. Couple footnotes. Stats from last season are going to be right over here for you guys to go ahead and look at. And then as well, for your viewing pleasure, I have put the coaching staff for each team, both offensively and defensively, right below the team's logo down there. Again, that is for your viewing pleasure. The Notre Dame offense last year was led by a former Wake Forest transfer who was exceptional over there and now is off to the NFL, the guy by the name of Sam Hartman. And to be honest with you, I feel like Notre Dame fans probably feel like he was a little underwhelming here in the Golden Helmets last season. 2,689 yards, 24 touchdowns, and 8 picks on 63% completion percentage. Yeah, they're not bad numbers, but they definitely weren't what a lot of people were expecting out of Sam Hartman. Your quarterback this year, Steve Angeli? No. Kenny Minchie, apologies if I pronounced that last name. No. Enter Duke quarterback Riley Leonard. He was absolutely sensational for the past couple of years at Duke, and if not for battling an injury last year, he would have had a monster season. Did not have a great season last year, only 1,102 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 picks, but all the way back in 2022 when Duke was able to put that team on the map. 2,967 yards, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions on 64% completion percentage. I think Notre Dame is getting a really good player if he can stay healthy in Riley Leonard, and he's got some pretty good weapons to work with. He will, however, have to do without Audric Estime, a 1,300-yard rusher who had 18 rushing touchdowns last season because he's off to play on Sundays. So your running back room looks like this: Jeremiah Love, Jadarian Price, and Jabrian Payne, who I think are all going to be really solid players here for this team. You look at Love, Price, and Payne. Obviously, Sam Hartman, not much of a runner. That was your second, third, and fourth leading rusher last season, combined for just around, combined for doing some quick math here, I believe just under 5 yards per carry between the three of them. Payne had the worst number of those with 3.7 yards per carry, but combined for 6 touchdowns, and you could see all 3 of them used at points throughout this college football season. Wide receiver room got decimated through the transfer portal, and I want to make sure I get these destinations right, so here we go. Rico Flores is off to UCLA. Braylon James is off to TCU. Tobias Merriweather is off to Cal, and Chris Tyree, who is definitely the most notable name. He led the team in receiving yards last season. He is off to Virginia. So a lot of these younger guys that were in the wide receiver room last year that are going to step up and play huge roles this year will have to do, again, exactly that. Jaden Greathouse was a great young player last year. Jordan Faison, Jaden Thomas, and Dion Colsey are all names to watch in this wide receiver room. They're all going to be integral parts of this pass-catching game, as well as a freshman that I think could step in and play some pretty big minutes. That is Cam Williams. You're also getting a lot of guys coming in through the portal, so while you may be losing guys through the portal, you get guys through the portal. Chris Mitchell is coming in from FIU. Bo Collins is coming in from Clemson, and Jaden Harrison is in from Marshall. I think this is going to be a pretty underrated wide receiver room. I think they got some good weapons here. Holden Stays is going to go off to Tennessee, a tight end that leaves through the transfer portal. 176 yards, 4 touchdowns for him last year. But you do return the lead tight end from last year. That is Mitchell Evans. Eli Raridan and Cooper Flanagan will also be coming back to this tight end room. And with a plethora of weapons on the offensive line gone, Joe Alt and Blake Fisher, two of the best offensive linemen in the country last year, especially Alt gone to the NFL, and guys like Zeke Correll and Michael Carmody going to go off through the transfer portal. I believe a combination of these six guys will be your starters on the offensive line. Charles Jagusa, again, apologies for any mispronunciations, Pat Coogan, Ashton Craig, Tosh Baker, Billy Schrath, and Rocco Spindler, I think are all going to get some starting positions on the offensive line. If not, of course, only 5 of them can start. If one of them doesn't end up starting, they definitely will be getting snaps throughout the years. Notre Dame tries to build back up the offensive line. That was really, really good last season. I've said it before, I'll say it again. As long as Riley Leonard can stay healthy, I think he's got a great group of wide receivers to throw to. They may not be some of the biggest names, but I think they are exceptionally talented. Yes, losing Audric Estime sucks. It really does. But Love, Price, and Payne all have their different levels of upside, so Notre Dame can really utilize which running back you use in different packages. You could have Love be used in one package and Price used in a completely different package. Again, whatever packet that is, I'm sure the OC and Mike Denbrock and head coach Marcus Freeman will be able to figure that out. Big task here, though, is rebuilding the offensive line that was so good last season. We'll talk about the defensive side of the ball for Notre Dame now. Al Golden's group was really, really good last season. They were a really, really good defense, one of the best in the entire country, especially at defending the pass. Here's what they lose off the defensive line from last season. Javante Jean-Baptiste, a former Ohio State transfer who was 5th on the team in tackles, 49 of them to be exact, with 5 sacks last year. He is gone, as well as a couple guys that are going to be leaving through the transfer portal. However, your second leading tackler last year was a defensive lineman. It was Howard Cross, 66 tackles, 2 sacks. He is back. Riley Mills, Jordan Botello, Jason Oney, and Joshua Burnham all come back, as well as RJ Oben. He is coming over, I believe, from Duke. I will check that here. Yes, he is coming over from Duke. Following Riley Leonard over, as well as a freshman in Bryce Young that I think is going to be a really big player for Notre Dame. You're both the transfer in RJ Oben and the freshman in Young. In the linebacker room, I mean, J.D. Bertrand and Maris Leofau are both going to be gone. Those are some really good players here, and Bertrand led the team in tackles last season with 76, 2.5 sacks, 5 passes defended. Jack Kaiser will be coming back, though, as well as Jalen Sneed, Drake Brown, and Jaden Osbury, as well as another high blue-chip freshman in Kingston Viliamu Asa. Again, I apologize for any mispronunciations, but Kingston is going to be a very good player in the linebacker room here for Notre Dame. That is what I believe. Cam Hart is gone out of the cornerback room, and taking a look at Hart's numbers from last year, 21 tackles, 4 pass defended. He was a pretty good corner for Notre Dame during his time here. Clarence Lewis has gone through the portal, and as well as that safety position, well, Thomas Harper is gone, and that's a pretty sizable loss, 39 tackles, 3 passes defended for him last season, as well as guys like DJ Brown, Antonio Carter, and Raymond Henderson that are going to be leaving, my apologies, through the transfer portal. However, you return one of the best, if not the best, lockdown corners in the entire country, and that is Benjamin Morrison. Apologies for the pause, just fixing a couple graphical things there. But Benjamin Morrison is a very, very good corner. We'll take a look at his stats from last season. 31 tackles, 10 pass defended, 3 picks. There's not many better corners in college football than him. He'll be paired with Jaden Mickey, Christian Gray, and Chance Tucker, as well as Rod Hurd, who comes over from Northwestern in the transfer portal. In the safety position, you do lose, never mind. I already said you did lose Thomas Harper, went through his stats. Who do you have coming back? Xavier Watts, Adon Schuler, Ben Minich, and Luke Talich, as well as Jordan Clark from the portal, and Kennedy Urlacher is a freshman that will be coming in. And you want to go ahead and take a look at where Jordan Clark is from. He is going to be coming over from Arizona State. So could be a pretty good player in the secondary for Notre Dame. And hey, kickers are people too. Let's show them some love. Spencer Schrader is going to be gone. He was a really darn good kicker during his time at Notre Dame. However, your punter and Chris Salerno will be coming back. Mitch Jeter is a transfer that comes in, I believe, from South Carolina. Yes, it is. Mitch Jeter comes over from South Carolina. He'll try to fill the shoes of Spencer Schrader. So let's talk about this Notre Dame defense for a little bit. Yes, there are a ton of younger guys here that I think are going to make some pretty big impacts. Guys like Young, Viliamu Asa, as well as Kennedy Urlacher, I think are all going to play some pretty solid minutes here. You were able to fill the needs as you needed to through the portal with guys like Oben, especially in the secondary. You got Rod Hurd, Jordan Clark, among some really talented returning players. Cross on the defensive line, Kaiser in the linebacker room, and Morrison and Watts in that secondary. I think this is the Notre Dame defense that is primed for success once again in 2024. They are exceptionally talented, have a lot of very, very good players, and the schedule for Notre Dame is exceedingly manageable. This is a really, really favorable schedule for Notre Dame, and we're going to go ahead and dive through and predict it right now. Just a quick overview once again. If Riley Leonard can stay healthy offensively, it's going to be a really good offense. And defensively, I think it's another Notre Dame defense built prime for success. Any game at home is going to be underlined, while any game on the road will be in italics or that slanted text. Any game that gets highlighted in green is an easy win for the Fighting Irish. Any game that gets highlighted in yellow is, gotta watch out for that game, but I still think Notre Dame will win, and red is a loss. And how about this for a week 1 matchup? Notre Dame is going to go on the road to play Texas A&M, and this is going to be an absolutely phenomenal game. Hey, Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman have big expectations. They have college football playoff hopes in 2024, and Mike Elko coming in for his first year back with Texas A&M. Remember, he was there before as a defensive coordinator. Now they're as the head coach after putting the Duke program on the map. Unfortunately, his quarterback, Riley Leonard, did not follow him. He is at Notre Dame, so an interesting storyline there. Mike Elko playing his former quarterback. Connor Weigman is expected to take that next step, and Texas A&M has a lot of phenomenal talent. However, I do think that Connor Weigman will take a little bit of time to settle in for Texas A&M, and this Notre Dame defense will be really, really good right out of the gate. And I think whoever Benjamin Morrison has, Xavier Watts is not going to let anyone over the top. I think the Notre Dame secondary and pass rush is going to be able to take over, and they will go on the road at Kyle Field and beat Texas A&M. I think it's going to be an exceptionally competitive, well-played game, but I do still think that Notre Dame is going to be able to pick up that road win, and a huge road win it will be on the road against Texas A&M, as again, Mike Elko, Connor Weigman will take a little bit to get settled in to this team. Mike Elko, again, first year with the program, and Connor Weigman, I think, is just going to get off to a slow start. That's just my personal prediction. The NIU Huskies are on board next, and Notre Dame should have no problem with this one here. Huskies not talented enough to compete with Notre Dame, although a pretty solid school out of the MAC. You got to go on the road there at Ross-Ade Stadium to play the Purdue Boilermakers. Now, this could be definitely a very interesting game. I've highlighted this one in green because I think it should be a game that Notre Dame wins easily. But I have this feeling, well, not this feeling, I have pretty darn good confidence that Ryan Walters' group is going to be a little bit better this season than they were last year. Purdue was just not a great football team last year. I expect them to get better this year, and sometimes games like this, Notre Dame as a program in their past history, especially in recent history and under Marcus Freeman, have kind of struggled in spots like this. However, I think that, again, Notre Dame just has too much talent. Riley Leonard will play too well, and they will be able to beat the Purdue Boilermakers. Watch out for that one, though. Depending on how Purdue looks those first couple of games, that could be a very interesting one in week 3. However, week 4, I think they follow it up with a win against Miami. Ohio, Miami's losing some good pieces through the portal, and again, much like NIU, another MAC school that doesn't have the talent to compete with the Fighting Irish. Here is another interesting game on the block. Remember what happened last year when this game was played in Louisville, Kentucky? Louisville blew the roof off that place, and they pounded Notre Dame last season. Okay, maybe pounded is a little bit of an exaggerated term, but they went and they beat Notre Dame last season en route to an absolutely phenomenal year in Jeff Brom's first campaign back with his alma mater where he played. And Louisville is going to be another really good team this year. They're definitely a player in this new look ACC that added a couple teams, Stanford, of course, being one of them, Cal, and SMU, but I think Louisville lost a couple pieces through the portal, especially on defense, that are going to cost them in a game here against Notre Dame. And now having to go on the road, you don't have the advantage of a home crowd being behind you. I think Notre Dame wins yet another thriller, and I think Riley Leonard will have another big game. This, I think, is going to be this wide receiver room's coming out party. 1 or 2 guys are going to step up, make some huge plays here. Benjamin Morrison will have a couple really nice picks, and Notre Dame wins the game against Louisville in week 5. Your first bye week is after that game, and then you got to go play Stanford. I got to see Troy Taylor's group. Stanford is one of those programs to me right now where I have to see it to believe it, right? I just don't think Stanford is going to be a great football team again next season. They were not very good last year. I don't think they're going to be very good this year. Give me the Irish in an easy win. Watch out for this one as well. On the road against Georgia Tech is going to be a very interesting and tricky game. Georgia Tech is a team that just continues to trend up and up and up. They are going in the right direction, and they get more and more competitive year over year. And I think this is a spot where Notre Dame needs to watch out here. I could have this as a potential upset during the season. However, as of right now, I think Riley Leonard makes one too many plays and the Notre Dame defense comes up big. I have them pulling out a very, very close, nail-biting win as Notre Dame avoids the upset bid on the road against the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. That team is going to play a really good brand of defense. I think the offense is going to be good for Georgia Tech, but Notre Dame a little too talented. They come out on the winning end. Navy in East Rutherford, New Jersey. Again, neutral site games are listed as accordingly as well. I think this should be a pretty easy win here for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Navy just has not impressed me over the past couple of seasons. Should be a win for Notre Dame in that game. You move forward into your second bye week before a big one against the Florida State Seminoles. No Jordan Travis this year, but they do have DJU, a former Clemson product that played at Oregon State the past couple of years. Now he is with the Florida State Seminoles, and Mike Norvell is going to have this team back and primed and ready to break into a college football playoff spot once again. They did everything they needed to do last year, just unfortunately did not break that 14 field. This year, they're going to be sitting that in the back of the minds. They want to get back in the playoff and prove that, hey, Florida State is back as a national contender. However, on the road against the Notre Dame Fighting Irish here, I think a couple of the weapons that Florida State lost, especially in that skill position room, you lost Keon Coleman, you lost a couple other really good wide receivers, as well as some very good players defensively. I think Riley Leonard and Notre Dame will have a little bit too much, and the defense will do what it needs to do to slow down DJU in this Florida State attack. Notre Dame gets win number 9 on the season. Virginia is just not a very good football team. I don't expect them to take a big jump, so Notre Dame wins that one. I also think they are going to be able to beat Army as well. Similar story with Navy, that triple option style I just don't think is where it needs to be beat a team like Notre Dame. That one not in East Rutherford. It's going to be played in the Bronx in New York, but I still think they win. And all is setting up well. The undefeated season on the line, on the road against your bitter rival in the USC Trojans. And I'm sorry to say, Irish fans, I have you losing the game somewhere. And obviously, you haven't lost a game yet for my predictions, so I have you losing this one here. Lincoln Riley has said that USC is going to be a team that focuses on the defensive side of the ball this season. Good. I want to see it to believe it. However, even though I haven't seen anything yet, I kind of believe it a little bit. I do think that this is a defense that is going to get better, is going to improve in some facet, and I think will make one play that determines this game. The USC offense will do enough. They get revenge on Notre Dame last year, just as at that time, Notre Dame spoiled the undefeated season for USC. USC turns around and does it right back again. I have 11-1. Now, whether that loss is to USC, to Texas A&M, or maybe an upset in the middle of the season to Georgia Tech, maybe you get beat at home by Louisville or Florida State, I have 11-1. With that being said, 12-0 is the next most likely record for me. Very manageable schedule, very favorable, and Notre Dame has the talent to be able to do it. 11-1 with a schedule like this definitely gives them a really good chance to get a pretty good seed in the college football playoff, which I think they could be headed back to here, especially with a record like 11-1 this year. Let me know what you guys think about the Fighting Irish in the comment section below. Hey, Michigan, you're going to be on the clock next. Remember to play hard but tailgate harder. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.